It started as just another caving adventure, exploring the depths of Wildcat Cave filled with wonder and excitement. But in the blink of an eye, everything changed. A single misstep led him into a trap of unforgiving darkness, forcing him to confront his deepest fears. This is the heart-wrenching story of Wildcat Cave. In a previous video, we shared the tragic story of John Edward Jones, who lost his life during a 2009 caving expedition at Nutty Putty Cave. A wrong turn led him into a narrow passage where he became trapped, and despite rescue efforts, he couldn't be saved. However, John's ordeal wasn't the first of its kind. In 1965, Morris Bitel, a young boy, also took a wrong turn in Wildcat Cave. At Dark Discoveries, we highlight such extraordinary survival stories from history, so make sure to subscribe for more related videos. It all began on a crisp autumn morning. A group of 16 young boys and 3 teachers from the Methodist Children's Home in Berea set out on a field trip to the village of Showingbrunn in Tuscarawas County, Ohio. Excited for a day of outdoor exploration, the group was looking forward to an adventure among the hills and forests. However, their plans were soon derailed by an unexpected event: a flat tire. What had been planned as a routine outing quickly turned into an impromptu decision to seek out a nearby alternative destination. Quick thinking and flexibility led the group to the Hinckley Reservation, a well-known natural area home to the infamous Wildcat Cave, nestled within Whip's Ledges. Though the destination had not been part of their original itinerary, the children were thrilled at the prospect of exploring a mysterious cave that held a certain allure among locals. For Morris Bitel in particular, the cave represented the perfect opportunity for adventure. The young boy had visited the cave on previous trips and was eager to show off his knowledge of the area to his friends. Wildcat Cave was no ordinary cave. While its entrance, a gaping 15-foot wide and 4-foot high mouth in a sandstone cliff, was easily accessible and well known among the community, the cave's interior was far less explored. In fact, the cave had never been officially mapped, and much of its underground passages remained shrouded in mystery. Over the years, rumors swirled about the cave's use as a hideout for criminals. As Morris and his friends made their way to the cave's entrance, a palpable sense of excitement filled the air. Though they had visited Wildcat Cave on previous field trips, something about this particular day felt different. For Morris in particular, the thrill of exploration had taken hold, and he was determined to lead his friends deeper into the cave than they had ever ventured before. The group's plan was simple: they would explore the main tunnel, a passage roughly 80 feet long which had been trodden by previous visitors. At the end of the tunnel, a large leaning rock marked the terminus of the passage, and beyond that, a sizable chamber was believed to exist. A chamber. With confidence born from previous trips, Morris eagerly took the lead, guiding the group into the cave's yawning entrance. The main tunnel, at first, offered plenty of room for the children to maneuver, and for the first 60 feet, the group was able to walk comfortably. But as they ventured deeper into the cave, the passage began to narrow, the ceiling dropped lower, and the walls closed in, forcing the explorers to move in a crouching position. Upon reaching the junction where the leaning rock stood, Morris faced a critical decision. The passage split into 3 different directions, and without proper lighting or experience, it was easy to confuse one route for another. Though his friends trusted his judgment, Morris made a fateful choice. He followed a passage that led him into an increasingly narrow crevice. Believing that the large chamber was just beyond the next bend, Morris pressed on, unaware that he was heading into a trap. What Morris didn't realize at the time was that the passage he had chosen was not only narrowing but also sloping downwards. As he crawled further into the tunnel, the walls closed in, squeezing tighter around his body. With each inch he moved forward, the space became more confining, and soon he found himself wedged in a crack barely wide enough to accommodate his slim frame. His breathing became labored as the pressure from the surrounding rock began to constrict his chest. The darkness and the tight confines of the cave were suffocating, and Morris quickly realized he was trapped. Meanwhile, his friends, unaware of the danger Morris was in, continued exploring nearby. It wasn't until they heard his desperate cries for help echoing through the cave that they understood something had gone terribly wrong. Panicked, they rushed to find a teacher, who quickly squeezed into the cave to attempt a rescue. The teacher, armed with little more than a belt, tried to lasso Morris's ankle in the hopes of pulling him free, but the effort was in vain. The belt snapped and Morris was wedged even deeper into the crevice. Time was running out and Morris's situation was becoming more dire by the minute. The pressure on his chest was making it increasingly difficult to breathe, and the cold, damp air of the cave was sapping his strength. Desperate for help, the teacher called for professional rescuers. The first to arrive on the scene was Fire Chief Paul Chodera, who immediately led a team of firefighters to Wildcat Cave. Equipped with a portable generator to provide light and oxygen, the rescuers assessed the situation and quickly realized they faced an enormous challenge. The narrowness of the cave's passages and the unpredictable topography made it nearly impossible for rescuers to reach Morris. Even with specialized equipment, such as a pulley system with hooks, every attempt to free the boy was met with difficulty. The rescuers had to proceed with extreme caution, as any sudden movement could further injure Morris or worsen his situation. Combining tactical skill and remarkable bravery, the rescuers explored various strategies to free Morris from his dangerous predicament. Contractors suggested drilling through 36 feet of solid rock, but geologists warned of the risk of a cave-in. As the situation dragged on into the night, tension mounted among both the rescuers and the growing crowd of onlookers as temperatures dipped into the 30s. More than 200 emergency workers, spectators, family members and reporters gathered at the scene. One proposed idea came from Terry Brown, an experienced cave explorer from Akan. He suggested rigging a makeshift pulley system, using a metal ring spiked into the cave's ceiling instead of traditional hooks. However, the operation required precision and timing. If the rescuers applied too much force, they risked injuring Morris further. Rescuers pulled and tugged, managing to move Morris just a few inches, but the pulley gave way, pushing him back. The primary concern was keeping Morris conscious. If he lost consciousness, there would be no way to get him out without his own effort. This situation is reminiscent of the Nutty Putty Cave tragedy, where the rescue attempt ended after John Jones passed out, as 20% of any cave rescue relies on the victim's ability to help themselves. Throughout the night, rescuers did their best to keep Morris' spirits up. They asked him about his personal life, joked about treating him to a steak dinner, and made him count to 25 and back again. Many volunteers offered help, but few could get close enough to assist once they entered the cave. Hours passed, and the rescuers were no closer to freeing the boy. The weight of the task was starting to take its toll on the rescuers, who knew that any mistake could be fatal. In the hours that followed, the scene outside Wildcat Cave became a hub of activity. Emergency workers, journalists, and concerned citizens gathered as the news of the trapped boy spread across the country. Reporters delivered live broadcasts, and radio stations issued urgent appeals for help. Among those who answered the call was Evelyn Pinky Pettit, a petite nurse who had a reputation for bravery in tough situations. She arrived at the cave and spent hours comforting Morris, offering words of encouragement as the rescuers worked tirelessly to devise a new plan. As the hours ticked by, Morris's condition became increasingly critical. His voice, once strong, grew weaker, and his responses to the rescuers became more vague. It was clear that time was running out. The rescuers were left with one final chance to save the boy, and they knew they had to act quickly. In a last-ditch effort, the Air Force flew in a specialized rescue team from Washington, D.C. Among them was 15-year-old Eagle Scout Michael Rich, who volunteered to crawl into the tightest part of the cave to reach Morris. Michael was able to get closer to Morris than anyone else had. Following instructions, Michael used a glycerin solution on Morris's hips to make them slippery. He then slid a narrow support board under Morris's legs to reduce friction during the pull. At Michael's signal, the team began pulling. Although the old support slipped a few times, firm efforts from above eventually freed Morris. As Morris was lifted out of the cave, more than 24 hours after the ordeal began, the crowd erupted in cheers. The boy, though battered and bruised, had survived. It was a miraculous end to a harrowing ordeal that could have ended in tragedy. Yet, while Morris's story ended on a hopeful note, it serves as a sobering reminder of the dangers that lurk within unexplored caves. If you loved this video, we highly recommend checking out our Nutty Putty Cave video, available right here on our channel. It's even more challenging and dives deep into the incredible efforts and obstacles faced during the rescue. Don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more amazing stories. See you in the next video.